So me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by Kraigg Brathwaite. Kraigg, how's things going in Bangladesh where you're at the moment?
Hey, think things going good, man. Can't really complain. The Bangladesh cricket board is doing a very good job, keeping us safe and been enjoying it.
No, that's great to hear. So let's take it all the way back with yourself. You're born in Barbados. What are your earliest memories of the sport and your early cricketing heroes?
Well, one of my first memories is obviously watching my dad, play, a club called Belfield, which is like 5 minutes walk away from my house. Going there and seeing him play at lunchtime, probably when I was, 6, 7 years old. That's when I really started, knowing about cricket. And then, obviously getting to know it as I got older, one of my first heroes obviously was, Brian Lara. Just wanted to see, Lara bat was something amazing.
And then were you always, as a youngster, a top order opening batsman? Did you bowl a little bit, or was it just something that you were just playing and just enjoying the game and just all facets of it?
Well, in primary school, I opened the batting in class 4, but when I was in class 2, I probably started like at number 4 or 5. And then, being the best batsman in class 4, I decided, well, the manager, Gwen Square, she wanted me to open, to bat the most overs possible. So I started opening then. And then when I finished, I used to bowl, and then sometimes I used to wicket keep as well.
So as a youngster, because obviously I was reading back some stats, like 28 centuries in local cricket before you got included in the West Indies under 15 side. You obviously lit it up in youth cricket. Did you have a lot of specific coaching, specific drilling as a youngster, or was it all natural ability?
No, what I to be honest, I had access, to coaches from a young age. Even at primary school, our coach was Mr. Milton Small. He would come, almost every week, and do some work with, the cricket team. And then there was a National Sports Council Barbados youth team, which, a number of guys like Jason Holden, Ross and Chase, Shane Dorrich, Anthony Allen, Mir, a lot of guys played, and they had like 3 or 4 coaches. So, and then obviously going on out to secondary school, Mr. Roddy Eswick, who is actually West Indies bowling coach now. He was my coach from like, 12 years old straight to, 17, 18. And then, I mean, my father, from a young age, he obviously used to play cricket as well. And he always would, he was really my coach from when I started, playing, really wanted to play cricket. So I would say, I had access to, some coaches from a young age, to be honest.
Were you big even at a young age in terms of like facing a lot of deliveries in the nets? Did you do a lot of technical analysis of your own game? Can you just remember like how you kind of honed your skills in the early stages of your career?
Well, in primary school, to be honest, I just always used to want to bat and I just hit the ball. Especially like when it was my father at home, every evening I always want to, just bat, and then I started playing cricket like matches probably when I was like 9 years old in class 2 or 10, yeah, probably around there. And then started batting and I wanted to score runs. But I would say in terms of in the nets, that really started from when I went to secondary school, which was with Mr. Ashwit. Then it's from there it started like learning different drills, in terms of batting drills. And it's really from there that I started really knocking away at the nets. But primary school, was just about, just wanting to play cricket, just wanting to bat, go across the path show Belfield and just bat and just bat. But then as I said, as I went into secondary school then with Mr. Ashwit, got a lot more batting drills, being done.
You made your first class debut for Barbados against the combined campuses. How was that
Yeah.
as a moment in your career representing Barbados?
Well, for me, it was truly amazing. I remember because Corey Colmer was actually captain, and Ryan Hines was in the team. Tino Bass was in the team. Dwayne Smith was in the team, because he's who actually got my first gear contract for me. Dwayne Smith got, Granicle's contract for me. And, just being there was amazing. And then, because I was able to play the first game was at UE, at a university ground, which was their home ground. And, obviously being there in Barbados, it was nice that my father could have seen my first game. And I remember I made a 70 odd and stuff, and it was nice, to be honest.
It was at 73 on debut. What are the
Yeah.
greatest challenges you face as an opening batsman?
Well, obviously with the new ball is especially the first day, the pitch is fresh, the guy's fresh and it's a new ball. So obviously there's always a challenge, because the ball is probably going to swing more or come through a little faster at times. So obviously that's always a challenge, but obviously you grow accustomed to that as an opener. The difficult times, will come, sometimes when it's just, you're feeling, then the team gets bowled and you have to, got 10 minutes quickly to go and, put on your gear and come back out and probably face 4 or 5 overs. Those are the periods where, could be really tough, as an opener. But, you get experience and you learn how you get through, those periods. And to be honest, I enjoy opening. There's a few times when I batted on the yard and it's just strange. So opening for me, I truly enjoyed it.
Is there something in terms of your mindset? It kind of differs from those down the order. You're going out there with a partner, facing the fresh, the new ball, fresh bowlers. Your mindset's got to be slightly different. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. Because obviously it's about, you got to start the innings. You got to get the first runs. You got to try to build a foundation for the team. While a guy coming in later, obviously in a perfect, a perfect world, team doing well, you come in already with runs on the board, hopefully, and the team is not in trouble. So it's obviously different, but I mean, obviously every number still has their challenges. But as I said, I personally, enjoy. I guess I just grew accustomed to opening, so anything else just feels kind of strange.
And then, was it in 2009? You were also called into the West Indies squad against Bangladesh. You didn't make your debut then, but you made the Test debut in 2011 against Pakistan, getting the
Yeah.
cap. How was that as a moment in your career? Do you remember who gave you the call initially and who presented you with your cap on the day?
Well, I think the chairman at that time was Mr. Clay Butts, I think. But I remember, Sir Richie Richardson, he was our team manager, and he gave me my hat, and that was a special moment. Obviously, my father, because I was in the squad, because for the first test I didn't play, I was in the squad, and the second test, I wasn't too sure if I would have played, but then we had a meeting, and I was told I'm going to play. So then obviously my father, made some quick plans to come down for the next day. So, him, and then he actually made it. So him being there, it was his son is special. I mean, it was nervous, to be honest, very nervous in the first innings batting, but it was a moment. It feels like yesterday, but it was a special moment for me because I always, dreamed about playing for West Indies, and I always used to love to see West Indies play.
When you go out and open the batting, is your mindset to be aggressive in terms of your intent? So, in terms of calling, in terms of even when you leave the ball, can you just give us a little insight in terms of your mindset when you actually go out to the crease and how you kind of try and impart pressure back onto the bowlers?
I think what worked for me well, and I learned this. I didn't learn it right away, and I'm still learning now. But to be honest, in terms of thinking about playing each ball late as straight as possible, and I'm not saying that if you get a ball to cut or to pull, you wouldn't. But I found that when I thinking about playing as late as possible and as straight, that helped me to leave better, because sometimes if you premeditate, a little push through the covers or just in front point, you sometimes will play at a widish ball. So I think that mindset of thinking as straight and late as possible in the V, that helped me, in my whole setup. But as I said, still learning, stuff, different conditions. Sometimes, you gotta change your stance for a certain bowler. Obviously a left hand bowler you may open up. So there's a lot of things you could think about, but for me generally it's playing as late as possible and as straight, especially early on with that new ball.
Are you one for like when you actually go out into the middle? Would you look to adapt in terms of changing your guard, or do you kind of have a set routine that you really kind of want to stick to and you trust your own game, or do you adapt in terms of what's coming down at you? So, say for example, if you're on middle, would you look to open up a bit more and go on two, or back on off? How do you do things?
Well, for a left hand bowler, my gear will be different to a right. Sometimes if there's a plan to like bowl straight, 'cause obviously pitch may not have any bounce and stuff. That's when sometimes my guard may change to the right hand bowler. But other than that, in terms of the lowness of the pitch, on a different bowlers, to be honest, different bowlers sometimes could get different guard. So, obviously that's a lot to do with just assessing the opposition. And so it's always good that you could change different stuff in between. And I have done it, before where in the same game have different, gear for different bowler.
And then your ODI debut came in 2016. You played 10 in total, last one being in 2017. First, is it something that you actually still have aspirations in terms of playing more 50 over cricket? And do you think that
Yeah.
that's something that you kind of want to explore further even if it's not West Indies cricket, but franchise around the world?
Yeah, for sure. It's one of my goals, to obviously because I want to create for West Indies. Obviously wasn't able to play the last, I think about, and actually we have the tournament is going to start soon. I missed the last 3 Super 50 tournaments we had. So obviously that was quite tough for me. But I still have plans, to want to play white ball cricket. So whenever I get opportunity to play, whichever tournament, I'm looking to grab the opportunity.
How does your training adapt when it comes to short form cricket? Do you look to do like range hitting or any other specific drills? Or again, is it just one that you have a core principle of skills and you try and bat that in all formats?
Yeah, I think the core will generally be the same. There's some stuff, even though that I could still improve on in terms of the more aggressive side, in one day cricket. But the general core will remain the same. Rotation is strike is always a big thing, and I've gotten better at that within the last couple of years, 3 years for sure. Um, but to be honest, the core will remain, but it just the little stuff, no rotation. For Spain, it could be a sweep shot a little more often, in a white ball game, and going over the top, keeping your shape even better now, in the white ball cricket. Whereas for the Pacers in the Test game, you may not want to go over the top for the Pacer, but so that's those little things, and I have improved on it in the last couple of years. So, but the core will generally remain the same, to be honest.
And then talk us through Pakistan 2016. Century in the first innings, unbeaten 60 odd in the second, carrying your bat. How was that as a match winning test for yourself as well?
Well, to be honest, that was one of my goals. From since I started playing first class cricket. That I wanted to be on not out both innings, and like that's the only time I ever did it. Really, that I'm thinking back. In terms of first class and Test cricket, to be knocked out in both innings is always a goal. And I would love to do it sometime again. If not more than once. Because that is obviously something great. For opener, to do. But I mean that innings, those 2 innings in Sharjah, I will never forget. It was a good pitch. It was a very good pitch, and we won the game, which I was very happy about. Doing something spectacular like that, and then the team winning. It was that was one of my best. Tests. Well, as an opener, you can't ask for any better, to be honest. So I was really pleased by that performance.
Yeah, you were the first opener in Test history to carry his bat in both innings
Yeah.
like that. And then I've got to talk about Headingley 2017. So no, Shea Hope gets a lot of talk because he got a double, like 100 in both innings, but you got 100 and a 95 as well. Just missed out in the second, but again, what a Test victory and what a performance from yourself.
Yeah. That one was another amazing. Because the first test, also we lost quite badly, and to come back and rebound at Headingley as well, where England obviously do extremely well. At that venue, it was amazing, and I was quite happy. I was very happy actually. To have done well, and then I hear again we won the game. So that was the most pleasing part, because really and truly my role, my role as the opener is to build a foundation, for the other batters to come, seeing off that new ball, putting, good runs on the board for the batters. So it's easier for them, when they come. So, two of those games were quite amazing. We had many more amazing games, but those two were very, very, very special.
How do you cope in English conditions playing swing and seam bowling? Obviously, you've also come over to the UK and played county cricket as well for Yorkshire, Notts, and Glamorgan. How do you adapt your game to the seam swing Duke ball in
Well,
England?
but as an opener, as I said, with the new ball, I mean, sometimes in any condition, sometimes the new ball was still, even if it's for one over, it was still probably seem a bit, or at least swing. So, I think playing in England is great for any batsman, but as an opener, especially, I think is superb, because the ball tends to seam all day. I mean, not much. Sometimes there may not be much pace, in the pitch and stuff in terms of bounce, but the ball always get a little nibble and stuff. So you always got to be tight throughout the day. One great thing about it is that you get value for your shots in England. The outfields are always fast, but I truly, it's always a goal for me to play county cricket. I was thankful to have played. Obviously going forward, I will get to play some more. But it's great for any batsman, because then you're playing a lot of cricket, every week. You're playing against good, even if it's not international players on the team. You got local guys that still bowl well. So it's a fantastic experience, and I truly enjoyed it. I truly enjoyed it.
How does your fitness regime go about? How do you go about things in terms of the fitness side of things? Because obviously you've got the potential, as you've done in the past, to bat through the innings, bat all day. You can be abroad, like in Bangladesh, bat in humid, warm conditions. Is it a lot of
Yeah,
endurance training that you do away from the field? What kind of stuff are you doing in the gym to get yourself accustomed to things? Because it must be different to
yeah,
what kind of the fast bowlers are doing as well. Would that be fair to say?
yeah. In endurance, I think it's a mixture. Because I was an athlete, at school. So as I started playing first class and stuff, that stick, that running ability obviously always stuck with me. So running long is always good. Like, one thing that helps me a lot is like running on the beach. Obviously Brandon's beach, which is like closest to my house. Um, sometimes like I will run on that for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and the sand sometimes it's quite dead. Like, it's quite deepish. So like sometimes when you do that, along with doing a lot of shuttles, and then you mix it with the gym. Obviously, you're doing strength work, you're working on your core, you're working on your legs, you're working on your shoulders. Um, especially in your downtime, because sometimes we have a lot of cricket, but I think what helps during the cricket, because out of season you could put in your work, because you're home, you put in your work, however you plan it per week. But on cricket, how you find is that once you like you keep topping up, in between games and in the gym. If you don't have the 100% same gym program, I think once you keep topping up, that obviously helps. But in these humid conditions, um, I think once you hydrate well, because fitness is key. To be honest, because obviously you gotta be fit to concentrate, to feel long and then going back. But then once you come to these places and you have that work in, once you hydrate well, then that hydration will always make it easier.
And in 2019, how does the home series victory against England rank in amongst the achievements in your career to date as well?
Um, well, you see the Sharjah match and the Headingley match, the match itself was amazing. But obviously nowadays we won the series, and I haven't played. Well, we drew the series with England. The first one we played against England, we drew, and then when we went to England. After that, we won the Headingley game, but we still were beaten in the series. So then, to win and actually beat England, was that's probably the greatest series. In terms of a victory, because we've never beat England before in a series, and then we obviously watching the guys, especially Jason and Darish back in the first test, was amazing. Then we obviously bowled well, and then the second test, what was good is that a lot of guys chipped in. We didn't get big hundreds, but I remember Brathwaite made 50 from a lot of balls, got some blows. Pitch was bouncing. That was a real team performance. That second test to win the series. So, I mean, that was very satisfying, and yeah, that series victory was something I would never forget. Because then we were home, so it was nice for the fans, to really get that victory. To be honest.
Then what are the short-term and long-term goals for the months and years ahead for Kraigg Brathwaite?
Well, to be honest, I like to keep it simple. Um, but I always see my role as the opener for West Indies is setting that foundation, for guys to come. And for me, once I could continue doing that and putting our batting unit in a good position to make 300 plus, in most test matches, going forward, I think that will help us obviously to go on to possibly win more games. So for me, I just wanna get those, obviously want to get hundreds, and as I said, put the runs on the board for West Indies, to win games. So for me it's always been my goal. Obviously sometimes you don't do as good as you like, but I really fixing myself on helping the team to score big runs so that we could win some games and make West Indies fans proud.
And then just to end on, in terms of going away from the field and switching off away from the field, I know you're into your horses as well. Talk us through it back home. And do you own a horse? Or are you breeding? Just talk us through it.
Yeah. I own a horse, but I have but I'm actually into breeding. But I have a horse, and right now that is on the track because I had some before, but they're not racing anymore. But War Eagle, he actually won the Barbados Derby, which was held Boxing Day, which is December 26th last year, 2020. And he won the Midsummer Classic as well, and in November 2020. And he's been doing good. He only ran 4 times, and he's hit the board all 4, and he won three races and came second in one. So I love horses. From a young age, I used to go with my father. I watch horse racing every Saturday. But then, as I said, as I went into secondary school, cricket came in. But we actually wanted to be a jockey. But I obviously cricket came in. And when I went secondary school, I started to Mr. S. We had cricket on Saturdays, so gradually just kept working hard. Obviously, got taller, so it could have never been a jockey. And from there, in I think it was 2015, is when I was approached, if I would be interested in getting a horse, and I from there I never turn back. Right now, I have a few mares that I breed, and just hoping to have a successful career as a breeder as well as a owner.
So Kraigg, perfect. Thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And all the best for the months and years ahead. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. No problem.
Neel Khagram, Cricket Last Stories, Kraigg Brathwaite. Thank you.